The Next Day podcast with Mikel
and Tanyka.
where we have conversations on different topics. So today's episode is going to be based on our monthly recap for what we watched this month on Netflix. We have done a few episodes since I think February, I believe, right, Tanika?
We started in January.
January. All right. We started in
Started
January.
with the new year.
I thought we just announced. Okay, yeah, we probably announced in December. Yeah, but yeah, we started in January, and now we're in June. So like, if you guys want to check those previous episodes out, they're right there. So like from May, April, uh March,
I think people know the
February.
months of
Yeah,
the year.
I know. Well, I just want to just give them
From
the recap.
January to May.
Yes. Yeah.
Sweet and simple.
Yeah. So yeah, check those out. So this month we're just doing June. Obviously I did not watch any Netflix shows this month. I know Tanika has. She will probably, but I'll probably just gonna give you guys the the lowdown on what to watch. So yeah. Go
Okay.
ahead, Tanika.
All right. So yeah, I did watch a couple things. I'm actually still in the middle of finishing one of the things, but I can pretty much talk about it because I know the story for the most part. So I only watched three things this
Mm-hmm.
month because Golden Girls has been consuming my life. Update, I'm on season 4. Um, but I watched the Titan, the Ocean Gate submersible
Mm-hmm.
disaster,
Okay.
which again, I think if anyone was around when this happened, um, in 2023, this was definitely an interesting watch. I do recommend it. I do know that there is a competitive documentary. I think it's on HBO for Americans or Crave for Canadians.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so basically, what I'll say without giving anything away with the documentary is the person who created this submersible, who also died,
Mm-hmm.
um, is a idiot. And he is responsible for the deaths of these people.
Spoiler.
100%. I didn't know all of this coming into watching it. Like, obviously,
Mhm.
I knew it happened and whatever, it's all over the news. You couldn't, mistaken it.
Yeah.
Um, but I didn't realize like how much this guy was a narcissist.
Yeah.
He acted like a know-it-all when
Yeah.
he knew nothing. Apparently he was a person who came from money. Um, and it's just wholly incapable of
Right.
doing what he was doing.
Right. Hmm.
And in the
Interesting.
process killed people.
Mm.
Um, what I'll say that's not really giving too much away that they use carbon fibers, which you can see in vehicles. Apparently they use things with airplanes as well because they actually had Boeing involved in the creation of the
Mm.
submersible. Um, and it's strong. It can handle, being used in a vehicle or in a
Mhm.
plane.
Mhm.
But obviously, water pressure it's such a different beast. It's
Right.
heavy. Water is heavy.
Mhm.
Um, and all you would hear is the carbon fiber breaking. And that
Mhm.
meant not good.
Right.
It would just
Right.
break and break and break. Like you just
Yeah.
hear it continuously. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Mhm.
Um, but one thing that was discussed apparently, because I did listen to, for those people who listen to reality, Cray Cray, they actually do what they call D-sides on their Patreon. It's
Mhm.
basically a documentary. So they covered this on their Patreon, I think this month. And they mentioned in the HBO documentary, so it's not a Netflix
Yeah.
documentary,
Yeah. Yeah.
but in the HBO documentary, his wife was actually involved in this company,
Mhm.
um, which is Ocean Gate, and she was a part of the communications kind of stuff.
Right.
So on the day of the implosion,
Mhm.
um, you could first of all, they show audio of what was most likely the implosion.
Mhm.
Um, and his wife is like, "Did you hear that? Because they heard it happen." But then they just kind of chalked it up as, "Oh, it's nothing."
Hmm.
There's nothing they would have been able to do because they're dead at that point. But it was a fascinating watch, um, eye opening, and
Mhm.
yeah, I do recommend it.
That's pretty good. Okay.
Yeah. The next
Nice.
one that I watched was the train wreck, the Astroworld tragedy, which again, you know, if
I heard about that. They did like
yeah.
a documentary based on that.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Travis? Was it Travis
Travis
Scott?
Scott, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and again, it's just like another situation of like people were just screwing up and could have prevented people from dying, including a
Mhm.
child.
Mhm.
Which again, I didn't remember that there was a child involved in this, but once they mentioned it in the documentary, I'm like, oh, that's right, there was a child that died. First of all, what does a child do in there?
Yeah, that's what I'm
This
saying.
this is like he was, I think, 10 or 12.
Was
What's he
he?
doing there?
What's he? Was there? Was it?
I'm
Well,
assuming he
sorry.
was with a parent,
His, okay, his. Okay, I
but
was gonna say
I
his.
want to assume. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's like this isn't like a one concert thing.
Yeah.
This was like a weekend, like music festival. This is
Mhm.
what he does.
Mhm.
Um, in what was an amusement park. It's not an amusement park anymore, obviously, but it was an amusement park. The problem was with this Astroworld situation
Huh.
is so they had like different stages that
Mhm.
people would go to watch the music.
Mhm.
The Before Travis Scott went to perform, which was on a different stage,
Mhm.
everyone was conglomerating around SZA, who was doing um, her performance, but at a different stage. Then
Mhm.
everyone is filing into this very, not so I wouldn't say small area, but well, actually, it was a small area, obviously, for
Mhm.
what happened, but it was one entrance in.
Mhm.
Everyone is being squished into this area, and everyone is realizing we're being squished. And
Right.
when they show this, oh my gosh, this one scene, you can literally see the people swaying together because they're
Mhm.
all so squished to each other that one person moves, everyone
Mhm.
else was moving. It was the creepiest thing. And all of this was happening within seconds of his performance beginning. Within seconds. And
Mhm.
when I'm sorry, Live Nation was responsible for like the marketing of this and the setups and everything like that. Like they did all of the, you know,
All right.
setting up and crowd control and all of that.
Mhm.
Travis Scott's the person behind the art, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But
And yeah, well, people were blaming him.
people were
You
blaming him, but you know
know,
why?
it's not.
People
Well,
I wouldn't agree with that. I wouldn't say it's not his fault. And here's
yeah,
what I'll say, it's not his fault. Yes, he is not control. He's not in
mm,
charge of crowd control.
yeah,
That
yeah,
was Nation's job,
yeah,
which they poorly handled. Um, the response after what happened.
yeah.
Um, Everyone kind of wanted to push blame on others. Um, but yes, he's not control of the crowd control. However, when you have fans
Hmm.
literally yelling at you,
Hmm.
stop the performance, constantly throughout his set.
Yeah.
Are you really trying to tell me you didn't hear people say that to you?
I
Has
mean,
anyone ever said that to you before?
was it like e- like in the document? Was it like everybody or a selection of people that
So,
you couldn't hear when he was like rapping or putting on another song or whatever or
okay, so this
yeah,
is very multi-layered.
yeah,
So, on the one hand, I hear what you're saying. You
yeah.
could hear the crowd basically saying, stop it, stop it.
Uh-huh.
Now, could that have been muffled by the music?
Yeah,
100%.
yeah,
Because a lot of it was happening from one section of the
yeah,
audience,
yeah,
because that was the section that was being hit the hardest. Everyone was being affected, but they were the ones that were being hit the hardest.
yeah.
Um, but on the other hand, I don't know if everyone remembers this, but I remembered this after watching, and I'm like, that's right, that's happened too. Do you remember that someone had passed? Well, clearly, everyone's passing out, but there was one particular person that had passed out, and he noticed it, and he actually stopped the performance
Yeah, I think I
and
remember I
said,
seen it play.
"Someone help him! Someone get him
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
out of here, so he can get help." And
yeah.
he didn't. He stopped the performance in
Mhm.
order to make sure that that person got to safety.
Yeah.
So at one point, now there's still obviously like not, I wouldn't say music necessarily, but like kind of have like reverberation
Uh-huh.
type feel kind of going on in the performance or whatever. That's kind
Mhm.
of what was happening.
Mhm.
But it was still like, could you potentially not have heard anyone else saying stop the performance? On the other hand, as well, and this isn't Travis Scott, but someone went to a security guard and was like, someone is dying over
Mhm.
here.
Mhm.
And they ignored her. Like, she literally is like begging someone to help this person that was dying.
Mhm.
Now, whether or not this is one of the victims who did die, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Or if they were just really bad off. But either way, this person was in distress. This person tried to get help
Mhm.
and they ignored her. So there's also that part. Now, that's the more on Live Nation.
Yeah.
But um,
And the
they,
security, and the
well,
security
security is a
guards.
part of Live Nation,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was
right?
just yeah.
Um, but on the other hand, too, um, they're they were kind of talking about the fact of Live Nation is like in control of stopping performances. There's someone high up in Live Nation, or they're saying two people were responsible for stopping a performance in case of any kind of emergency.
Mhm.
Now they knew that there was an emergency pretty early on, right?
Right, right.
And they were trying to get in touch with those one of those two people who
Mhm.
could have stopped this performance. And wouldn't you know, they couldn't get a hold of either of them.
Mhm.
So you've literally left it in the hands of these two people who are responsible, and you did nothing. And apparently there was talk in Travis Scott's ear basically saying, we're going to stop the performance. Now, his performance started, I think, at 9 p.m.
Mhm.
and his set was supposed to end, I think, at 10:20 or 10:30 or something like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
So they were saying that they were gonna stop it at 10:02 or 10:03, some crazy weird number. But then ended up deciding, you know what? No, let's just keep going. We're gonna finish. So even though that's to me an indication of, people are not well, they're passing out, they're being crushed, they're dying. And you know this because you were literally speaking in his ear to stop the performance at a certain time, but
Mhm.
then you decide to keep going.
And you
And
know,
that to me also
y
says that Travis Scott, wouldn't you question that?
you know what they say in show business.
The show must go on, right?
Yeah.
Right. And that's the thing. It's like, okay, but the show can't go on when your fans are literally dying in front of you. They're
Mhm.
dying in front of you. Now, listen, I'm not a Travis Scott fan. I don't particularly understand the hype with him. However,
Mhm.
people do enjoy his music, and I
Yeah.
can understand that.
Yeah.
And they're all here because like you heard people talking about the fact like they really love him. He's from Texas. I
Mhm.
can't remember Austin. I think that's where they were. Um, he's from Austin. This is a person coming home and they're happy, they're excited, they
Yeah.
love him. People are playing his music um and all like for, hyping themselves up for basketball games and whatever. This is like his Astroworld festivals hadn't been happening because of COVID. This is the first time it's happening since COVID had happened. And it's a big deal for people.
Mhm.
And I'm sure it's a big deal for him too. And I totally get that. And you want it to go well.
Mhm.
But in the grand scheme of things, it did not go well. And the lack of response from him didn't go over well. The fact that honestly, how they felt about his response to everything
Mhm.
was kind of like, you actually really don't give a shit. You're just doing it because you have to. And people have like all the people who involved in this were like, I can't listen to his music. And I totally get that. Totally understand that they are victims of
Yeah.
something really
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I think that's the problem with people
Yeah.
where they say they blame him is because his lack of
Yeah.
response or the
Mhm.
lack of passion, I guess, in his response.
I mean
Um,
I mean, it must have said something in his contract as well that he has to play or, do the show or,
well, 100%.
it
He
or he you probably get sued or something. That's why he
would
probably
necessarily get sued,
or
especially under this situation.
this situation, but like I don't think I don't think Live Nation has something like that in their contract. If a
They
fan dies or whatever, if safety or riot or I
they
don't know
they
what they're.
could. They definitely could have something in that contract, but I feel like something like this, where it's like people are being hurt
Mhm.
because of this setup, which is on Live Nation, that
Mhm.
is their faults.
Mhm.
So even if they were to sue him to
Yeah.
say, "Oh, you stopped the concert early" or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
he could then countersue and be like, "Okay, but because of your lack of setup,
Mhm.
caused all of this to happen." They would most likely lose.
Mm.
Like, they're gonna lose their case, honestly, if I'm being totally honest, because their contract is void based on the fact that you weren't careful
Mhm.
with how the setup was supposed to be. This is the other thing. This Astro World festival, music festival, was supposed to, I think they said it was only supposed to fit 10,000 people, or
Mhm.
was it less? It might have been less,
Mhm.
but they said, like, first of all, the minute the doors opened, people were pushing their way through. Um, there wasn't a lot of crowd control. There wasn't a lot of checking of tickets because they weren't able to because people were rushing the gates.
Mhm.
So and that's not fully on them, in terms of people breaking into a festival that maybe they shouldn't have been in the first place.
Mhm.
But it is on you when you should have a protocol in place to make sure that people aren't rushing a gate or checking their tickets. It is up to you. That is your responsibility as a company like Live Nation that is responsible for a lot of these types of festivals or concerts or whatever. They're huge. They are the main company in handling
Mhm.
concerts like this.
Mhm. Mhm.
They're probably
Mhm.
the only company. So they screwed up
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I do think Travis Scott has some responsibility in this as well. As the person who was out there
Mhm.
watching this, I'm sorry, you can't convince me that that man didn't see something that was like, what the hell is going on?
Mhm.
You can't convince me of that because especially when he saw the one person faint, nah, nah, you saw something. So
Mm.
that's a little bit on you. And it's sad. Like it's really sad that because you know this is never happening again. Astro World is done. It's never happening again. Or if it does, it's going to be a long time from
I
now.
mean, it probably has happened in
I
different,
haven't heard about
time.
it since this incident.
No, like in like a lot of concerts in the past. Like it probably has happened. Like fans almost, dehydrating or
Oh yeah, but
dying,
that's
you
normal.
know,
That's a
or
normal thing. You're
yeah.
gonna have um fans that are going to be dehydrated, are going to pass out. That is, listen, people passing out in concerts
Mhm.
goes way, way, way back. If we look at like Michael Jackson, I mean, he wasn't having the same situations and people were passing out like nothing. You know what I mean? So yes, those things happen. That is not abnormal. But when the cause of that is because of crowd control,
Mhm.
which is the responsibility of the company, in this case Live Nation, that is on you. And that isn't because of just a person not taking care of themselves. That isn't what's
But
going on
but you
here.
yeah. Well, I'm not well, let's turn it around. Like have you seen like the concert that Michael Jackson's were in? Like people fainting
But that's what
and
I said.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I said though, but
Yeah.
that's not because
Mhm.
of being squished
Mhm.
or not having space to breathe because again, the one of the people who was a
Mhm.
nurse actually literally was like within seconds of people kind of piling in, she's like,
Mhm.
I can't breathe.
Mhm.
And initially you're probably thinking, oh, it's just a lot of people, whatever. But no, it's because it's a lot of people because people are squished in together. That's a totally separate situation.
Yeah.
People passing out at a Michael Jackson concert with a mix of dehydration potentially, excitement, um, him
I
just
being,
being
I mean,
within
I
his
mean, you could, you
presence,
could, you could say, you can
you know.
almost say the same thing to Travis Scott, but like,
Not
honestly,
in this
people,
case.
you don't think so?
No.
People
There's
don't get excited.
again,
Okay.
I urge you to watch the documentary because
Mm-hmm.
everything is in there. And again, it's like an hour and a half, so it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty easy to get through.
Mm-hmm.
There was literally an investigation done by a person. I can't remember. He said he was hired by Live Nation, but anyways, he was an investigator who investigated this incident, and he literally his findings were that Live Nation screwed up by not ensuring
Yeah.
that there was enough space and plenty of exits for people to get out in this case. Um, and that was on Live Nation. So
Mm-hmm.
no, this isn't because of all of the things that have gone on at a Michael Jackson concert,
Mm-hmm.
which I am sure, again, listen, Live Nation probably was responsible for those concerts as well. I know for a fact Live Nation has at least done a few of his concerts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but in this case, it was
Mm-hmm.
a mistake. Whether I'm not going to say it was a mistake that was on purpose or whatever. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think any of that. I don't think any of this was meant to happen. But they screwed up because they they just didn't make sure there was enough space for people and
Mm,
that there was more than one, there was one exit. And the
mm,
way they all came in, that was the exit. And they showed a rendering of what happened and how it was happening.
mm,
There was, this wasn't on the people. I'm sure to some extent, yeah, there could have been people who were drunk and not drinking enough water and all of that, which we've seen in another train wreck documentary, which was Woodstock 99, that happened.
mm,
Woodstock 99 was a totally different situation. That wasn't because, Live Nation screwed up. That was because people were unhappy
mm,
and caused a riot. That's a totally different situation. There was nothing but space in that location.
mm,
Um, but yeah, no, this was 100% on Live Nation. This was their fault. We'll sprinkle in a little Travis Scott in there as well, but I would say at least 80 to 85% of the fault lies with Live Nation.
mm.
100%,
Okay. All right.
which caused 10 people to lose their lives, like
And
including a child.
oh
So,
wow, didn't know it was that much. I thought it was like
yeah. And
I mean,
initially there it was 8 or 7 or 8
mhm,
people
mhm,
that
mhm,
died like pretty much on scene.
mhm,
Um, and then people who had gone to the hospital then resulted in 2 more or 1 more death, I think it was. Pretty sure it was 9, and then the 10-year-old or 12-year-old was the one who passed away in hospital and made it 10.
mm,
Yeah, it's really sad.
mm. I remember though he made an apology as well.
He did, and they showed it in the documentary, and one fan in particular was kind of like, it just felt like an apology that he had to make, not one that he was sincerely kind of feeling.
Mhm,
So they kind of took that as like, again, what I kind of said is they took his apology as absolute crock of shit. They didn't believe him. They didn't believe his apology. And I can
mm,
understand that because it did feel in his apology, yes, he is kind of, it's a kind of like it did feel like a rehearsed apology. That doesn't necessarily surprise me. When he's probably dealing with a publicist who's kind of telling him what to say. Um, but it
but
kind of
I mean,
didn't have a lot of emotion behind it, I will say.
not too. Well, and to be fair, in his shoes, I want to say like, what can you say? Like I wouldn't know what to say. In my opinion, all I probably would say is just like I would like to apologize to my fans
Mhm,
of what happened in that
mhm,
situation,
mhm.
and I promise you. Oh, I most likely will probably just give a donation. You know,
Which I
uh,
don't know if I don't even know if he
I don't
did.
think he did. I don't think he did
I
that,
don't think
but
he
I
did.
don't think he did. But
No,
like that's what I would have done. But
no.
otherwise than that, and then apologize to my fans, donation, etc. This will never happen again. I'll make sure I will talk to Live Nations to have strict measures for
Yeah, but that never
this and that.
happened. Live Nation is still going strong. Well,
I
I
I
haven't
know.
heard much about Travis Scott lately after this kind of
Yeah.
happened.
Well, no, he's still doing concerts here and there. You just haven't heard too
Yeah, I
much
do
from
know
him.
he's still doing
You don't
concerts,
follow.
but
Yeah. You
Astro
don't
World is not
Yeah,
one that's
no, yeah, no.
happened.
Astro World, no, no. That was based on his album. That was based on his tour or whatever. So
Actually,
like,
back up.
yeah,
It's not just based on his album, which I do know that.
yeah.
It's not just based on that. Astro World was an actual theme park that he attended a lot as a kid. They ended up closing down for
Mm,
reasons they never reveal or they don't know. So he did this album, Astro World, yes, but a lot of that had to do with his childhood, which is why he did that.
true.
Um,
Right.
so there is meaning behind this for him.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So
I'm
yeah,
sure like that alone is like this potentially ruined the last little bit that he had as from his childhood. And that part I can understand, that's sad, but you
yeah,
still have to even if you don't have the words, again, you have someone who can help you with that. Even if you don't have the words or whatever, I can totally get that.
Mhm,
I would feel awkward in a situation like this
mhm,
because I'd be
mhm,
like,
mhm,
I don't know what to say. I totally get that too.
mhm,
But when you're in the limelight, you gotta try. I don't know. You gotta try. Like I think about like again, no fault of her own, but I think about Ariana Grande when she had the incident that happened at her concert
yeah,
and
I
the
heard of
way
it.
she handled that. She was
Yeah,
distraught.
she donated.
And
She donated to the
exactly.
yeah.
Again, that's a different situation because that's no fault of her own,
Yeah. Yeah.
but and no fault of, the company handling the concert. That is no fault of anyone. That was a madman coming into her concert and
Mhm.
just, yeah.
And did she cancel? Did she just, like, stop and just,
Oh,
like
and she saw it absolutely, yeah. She was
yeah,
traumatized as well
yeah.
because, again, not only
I think I
traumatized for her fans, but traumatized for herself because, like,
yeah.
I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, but no, the concert stopped. It was done. It was
Mm.
done,
Mm.
you know? And that's how you kind of need to respond. I think, like, I have vague memories of this, but I think back to this time after this happened and kind of feeling like Travis Scott and Kylie Jenner just kind of going about life like nothing happened a few months ago. And I'm just like, how tone deaf can you be? How blinded by what just happened can you honestly be? And I'm just like, for I don't even know. It was irritating. It was frustrating, and I'm just like,
Mm.
do better, the both of you. Because again, like Kylie, obviously she wasn't. I don't know if they were still together at that point, but um, I think
Yeah,
they were.
the
I think they broke up not long after this happened.
mhm.
But yeah, I'm just like, both of you could do better, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Kylie Jenner, yeah, she kind of was born with a silver spoon in her mouth, but you, Travis Scott, I'm assuming, did not do better. It's just,
Mhm.
yeah, it was irritating. Not as irritating as a Titan, though,
Mm.
just because I don't know anything about Travis Scott. I don't know his personality or anything. So I'm basing that more on, I'm going to assume Travis Scott's not a narcissist, and that guy was. Anyways.
Mm.
All right. The last thing that I'm going
Mhm.
to mention that I haven't again, I mentioned I didn't finish yet, but I'm like 12 minutes away from finishing, so I could talk about it anyways, is the Tylenol murders. Now, did you know anything about the Tylenol murders at all?
Never heard of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, okay. So basically, just to kind of give the synopsis real quick, Tylenol murders was basically something that happened, I believe, in the early 80s. And it was basically people were, as you do when you get a headache or
Mhm.
aches, pains, or whatever, you're going to take a Tylenol, right? Well, this Tylenol was laced with cyanide and was killing people.
Mhm.
And the issue with this is were like, okay, are people going into the stores
Mhm.
taking the Tylenol balls? Because again, we know kind of what Tylenol looks like today, where you can't open a Tylenol and do tamper with it. Back then, a Tylenol looked like a normal capsule that you can open up,
Mhm.
dump out the contents of the Tylenol, and you could add cyanide, which is a white powder, like the Tylenol was. So that's what would happen. And one particular story of this was, I think it was a brother or like a husband, someone's husband had died from taking Tylenol, which they knew later was because of cyanide poisoning.
Mhm.
They're at the family home. I think either before or after the funeral, the brother of that man had a headache. His wife also had a headache, took Tylenol. They died. days
Mm,
after the brother or the first person had died. So in a family, 3 people died from ingesting Tylenol. So
mhm,
the whole thing was, is this someone taking Tylenol off the shelves and tampering with it? Um, is this Johnson& and Johnson? Like,
mhm,
is someone within the company the
mhm.
ones that are tampering with the Tylenol? It's an unsolved murder. No one knows, and I say murder, but murders. No one knows who did this. We have
Mm,
suspicion, but we don't really know. And the problem is that like not Tylenol, Johnson Johnson or
mhm, mhm.
the people who were manufacturing the Tylenol were basically saying, "Oh no, we don't use cyanide in the facility." And,
Yeah,
Tylenol.
I
They
I
did.
try I try to avoid anything with Johnson and Johnson. Jeez, nah, like I
Seriously,
heard so
Johnson
many
and
chemical.
Johnson's been killing people since the dawn
Yeah,
of time.
yeah. I heard chemicals into their like a lot of their their stuff,
Yeah.
and I avoid any like I even go to dollar store stuff as well. Like I buy dollar
Well,
store lotion
Johnson&
or
Johnson
not.
is. But
I
again,
know there's
Johnson&
some.
Johnson is not an easy company to stay away from.
Yeah,
They're
no, I
all over everything.
well you can avoid them. It's easy. Yeah, there's different types of.
No, I know, but I
Yeah.
feel like even things that I'm like, I
Mhm,
don't think about is still Johnson& Johnson.
mhm.
And that's the thing too.
Do they?
Johnson& Johnson doesn't make Tylenol, but the
Mhm.
company that does was bought by Johnson& Johnson.
Do
They're
they have?
not easy to stay away from.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know any companies that they own? Like
Not off the
like
top of my head, in all honesty. Totally forgot that Johnson& Johnson owned Tylenol. I totally forgot that. I'm like, "Oh, okay." Um, and again, this is the thing, and I can attest to this. If you go to a hospital and you're claiming pain or whatever, they don't give you anything else but Tylenol. You can't avoid Tylenol 100%. Um, Obviously, if you choose to use other things, you'll use whatever you use, or you can avoid the Tylenol or whatever. You can probably avoid it in everyday life.
wait. They own Listerine?
That's what I'm
Hold
saying to
hold
you.
on.
That's what
What?
I'm saying to you.
Oh
You
man,
could be
no.
avoiding. You think you could be avoiding Johnson& Johnson. You're not. You're not
Wow.
avoiding them.
That well, Band-Aid, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, I
But
had
again,
to
I do want to
replace that.
preface
Well,
Tylenol has changed drastically in the last 40 years since this happened. They have the
yeah,
seals,
of course.
right?
What?
They, again, like how I described it, like if you have like a vitamin, right? That's a
Mhm,
capsule and you can open it up. That's what Tylenol used to be. If you look at Tylenol now, that's not what Tylenol looks like. Tylenol is like the blue and red and the white in the middle. If you're using like a gel cap,
mhm,
and you can't open it, right?
mhm,
So obviously, you know, Tal Johnson Johnson has made strides to rectify what's
mhm,
happened here because obviously whoever did this, which I'll say right now, I do think it's a person within Johnson& Johnson at
mhm,
that time, and whether it's an employee or whatever, someone within that company who was responsible for the whether packaging or whatever of Tylenol at that time, I
mhm.
personally think is responsible for these murders. But
Yeah, I heard
they
about
made strides to
yeah,
fix what happened.
yeah,
Um,
I heard about is it baby powder? Baby
yeah,
powder back in the day
baby
it was
powder
an
was
issue.
yeah, which
Uh,
that was I can't remember the ingredient that was in it. It started with a T, but it was causing cancer, mainly in women.
yeah,
Because what will happen is again for women, um, to prevent sweating in certain
Mhm,
areas,
mhm.
you will use powder. But that's the problem is you do that, the powder gets in there and
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
causing cancer.
W
Um,
What else? What else did it have other than baby powder and the uh fast what's your product? Oh, Vaseline, right?
I
Was there
believe
a
so.
problem? Okay, what's your okay, so all their problems. Yeah,
Again,
yeah, yeah.
petroleum jelly is like a huge thing. Everyone uses it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't like avoid that.
I mean,
Like our,
there's different types of Vaseline and jelly or whatever.
yeah,
I try to when I see Johnson, I say, oh no, there's another company over there I can just support.
yeah.
But but yeah, no, like ever since I heard a lot of those things, I just avoid Johnson. But I didn't know that they own the brand of Listerine and Band-Aid.
Mm-mm.
That's new to me. I just found that out today. So
They own so much.
yeah.
Honestly, like the main competitions
Mhm. I
of
mean,
like
they
these
don't.
types of products is like Johnson
Yeah.
and Johnson or what's the company that does like Cell and Dove? I should know this because
Well,
I worked
they
on
don't.
products
They
before
don't
with them.
own a lot of. They just
I need
own
to
like
search that
good
up.
like 9 companies I see here.
But those
Nitro
nine
Gen.
companies have 1,000,001 products. So,
Okay,
you know what I
right.
mean?
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
True. 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 Benadryl. Yeah. That's yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Nitro.
trying to
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
this other
Yeah.
one
Mhm.
that's no, that's not it. Unless
Yeah. Yeah.
Cell isn't a part of that anymore. Dove. I know Dove is parent company. There we go. Unilever. Um, so it's kind of like Unilever or Johnson& Johnson. Like those are
Mm-hmm.
like the two like parent companies that we have in, really.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to
Oh.
avoid either of them. So,
But
and I mean, like I use
has
Johnson&
there
and Johnson products. I use Unilever products,
you know
you know,
has Unilever ever killed anybody or in the
not that I
past?
know of.
Any
But
reports?
I mean, again, there's there's always going to be something. Not
Mm-hmm.
everything is going to be, even though you think like, okay, you're not necessarily ingesting a poison necessarily, but they use things that, may not necessarily be good for, you know,
Mm-hmm.
absorption or
Right.
consumption. And
Right.
um, so no company is necessarily perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but
Okay.
yeah, I mean, in this case, it's like with the baby powder situation for Johnson and Johnson, it's like you guys are putting something into a product that maybe initially you didn't know was going to harm people, but at
Mm-hmm.
some point you probably did know it was going to harm people, and you still continued using that ingredient in the product. That's
Mm-hmm.
different because that's like you know what you're doing in that case. With the Tylenol murders, it was like you're not putting anything into the capsule that is going to
Mm-hmm.
kill anybody, but someone else was doing that nefariously.
I
So
I
it's like
also
that's not necessarily their
I
fault.
I also blame the American health. What was it American Health Society? Not American Health Society, but
Like the
who?
CDC?
Yeah, them as well for passing back in like the 80s or 90s and not know about this.
Well, that's kind of what happens though, right?
Yeah. So
Like the medical information always changes over the years, right? Like even like
going through trials as well. That's too.
right. But
Yeah.
they're still going to use the product anyways until they
Mm,
figure it out. Oh, wait, oh, this is going to give you cancer. So
mm,
it's it's like cigarettes. People thought, oh, cigarettes are fine until they're like,
mm,
ooh, maybe not. Um, and then like even like with pregnant women,
mm,
when like you're kind of how much has evolved in what you can do and what you can't do.
mm,
I remember when my mom was pregnant with my brother, you were told. or maybe more so with me, not so much my brother, but you
Mhm.
were told you can't go to the dentist,
Mhm.
you can't go get your nails done, your hair done. You can't do anything like that because the fumes are you're inhaling the fumes. You can go and get your teeth cleaned. It's actually important that you do because of
Mhm.
oral hygiene is the most important part of your health. Um, you can go get your nails done and your hair did, pregnant ladies. Just gotta make sure that the
Mhm.
place has good ventilation. And that's the case, I
Mhm.
think, with anybody, but in particular when you're pregnant. So it's like you were told all these things and it evolves, right?
Mhm.
Same thing
Mhm.
with this. Like you may think that product was safe, and then you're like, oh, not so much, you
Mhm.
know?
Right.
So I don't know, this is kind of what happens, but we always knew cyanide was bad for you.
Mhm.
So yeah, maybe you shouldn't ingest that. And again, like they're like the factory or whatever, the manufacturer who made Tylenol was literally like, "Oh, we do have cyanide here near the making of the Tylenol, but we're not putting it in the capsules. No, we're just using it to test whether or not a product has too much lead."
Mhm.
I'm sorry. Is there another way? Because I feel like I'd rather ingest the lead than the cyanide. Because at least the lead will over time kill me. The cyanide, I have no chance. I'm dead within minutes. And that's what would happen. People would be dead within minutes of ingesting the
Mhm.
cyanide.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, like, I guess I always like to say one thing, like, we have progressed,
we
like, came
have.
a long way. Yeah,
We
like,
have.
we are a lot healthier than we have
We
been
are.
since, like, the '80s and the '90s.
Well, I would still say we were pretty fine in the 80s and 90s as well. Like,
Even
it's
so?
not that, yeah, that long ago.
But
I think we were talking about health wise and people and in terms of life expectancies and stuff like that. I would say more would have been like in the 40s and down,
mhm.
maybe even
Mhm.
50s and older. You know,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think for the most part, people are living long lives and are being healthy and having preventative medicine and everything like
Mhm.
that, which we didn't have before.
Mhm.
So, and yeah, no, I wouldn't classify the 80s and 90s as having poor health or anything like that. It's just advances have happened that's made
Mm.
it better than then, but it's not like it was horrible then or
True, true.
anything.
True. Okay. Alright.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, we kinda
just be
went
careful
what
with your
yeah,
Tylenols when you take it.
yeah,
And I think very differently now because I'm like, I look at the Tylenol bottle and I'm like, wow, have things changed?
yeah.
Whoa. I mean, Tylenol was my best friend last year, let me tell you.
Mhm.
And that
Mhm.
sounded really bad, but that was because of my gallbladder situation and everything like that. Like Tylenol
Yeah.
was my go-to. I can't
Mhm.
imagine if Tylenol wasn't around because
Mhm.
they literally tell you don't take Advil, don't take aspirin, don't take Aleve, don't take any of those things right before a
Yeah.
surgery. The only thing you can't take is Tylenol. So I can't even imagine like if Tylenol just wasn't a thing
Mm.
for me now. But well, I don't know. But anyways,
I get that.
um, I
Okay.
think that's it for what
For
I've
you, yeah.
watched.
So like I said earlier, I didn't watch anything, but I have heard some things. I'm just gonna, short form this what I'm going to tell you guys. Uh have you heard of like the Tyler Perry show? Uh Straw?
Um, I've heard of it,
And it's
and
bringing
I've
a lot of
heard that
controversy. Yeah.
there's a little bit of an issue, a
Yeah.
pretty big issue.
Yeah. I think it's about a struggling mom. That's what I've heard.
I'm not sure what it's about. Um, if this is the right show that I'm thinking, I just know that Tyler Perry is in hot water. That's all I know right now.
Um, so not a show, it's a movie.
Mm,
right? Oh yeah, it's about a single mother navigate a series of unfortunate events leading her down an unforeseen path. She becomes embroiled in situations she never envisioned and finding herself at the center of an an indifferent world. So basically, I'm thinking that it's a single mother that struggles.
mhm,
So, um, yeah, I heard a lot of controversy about it. Like a lot of women, uh, is wondering why Tyler Perry always depicts women in these struggling situation, uh,
mhm.
especially black women. Um,
Here's what I'll say to that though. So,
yeah,
I mean, I think people can easily do their research on that,
yeah, yeah,
without criticizing it. I don't think Tyler Perry, I mean, again, I'm talking mainly about this. I'm not talking about what has come out about him recently. Um, so what I'll say here is he talked about his struggles as a kid.
mhm,
Um, when Oprah Winfrey still had her show, which a long time ago.
mhm,
Um, but he talked about the kind of life that he led. Um, and he was raised, I believe, by a single mother.
mhm,
So a lot of his inspiration comes from what he saw growing up.
mhm,
Um, like for example, Medea is inspired by his, I think he said his aunt, um, or maybe his grandmother. But
right,
she's inspired by a real life person in his life. So although I can understand, and again, I'm coming as a Black woman
mhm,
who was also raised by a Black woman on her
mhm,
own.
mhm,
Although I can understand, like, why do you do this? But this is the reality. I actually am curious to know the people who are saying this. Unfortunately, in today's society, it is freaking normal for Black women to be single mothers.
mhm,
You have a problem with that? Talk to the men for whom are and dip. That's not on Tyler Perry. He's just depicting what is happening in this world right now and also depicting what he's experienced in his own world. Until I see more of like him purposely trying to make Black women look bad,
mhm,
I am not going to think ill of his art
right,
because, yes, he may depict the Black woman struggling
mhm,
in whatever way that could be, whether it's through sex work, whether it's
mhm,
being abused, whether it's struggling to get food on the table, take care of your
mhm,
kids, whatever it is, they always come out the other side.
right.
And y'all missing the point.
Oh yeah, I do agree. Like he makes movie depicting different types of black people, not just
Hmm.
like the generic black person, not like the gangsters
Yeah.
or the jailbirds. Or different types of black people. The rich versions of us. The struggle
Yeah.
or the
He's depicted
what?
all kinds and there's been
Yeah,
all kinds. And
yeah.
I'm sorry, but like I love seeing Black people have roles in these movies
Hmm.
because it's like, honestly, I'll say this straight up. Pre Tyler Perry, you didn't see that very often.
No.
You didn't see a pretty much all Black cast
Hmm.
of people in a movie or a television show or whatever it was that he's doing.
Really?
You, hmm?
Really, you didn't see it? Did you see?
Not
You
as
didn't see it?
much. Not prior to him. It
Mm,
wasn't as, we gotta remember, Tyler Perry's been around for like 25 years.
mm,
So think about pre the very first Medea movie, which was Diary of a Mad Black Woman.
mm,
We didn't see that very often. I can't think of pre Tyler Perry, and also, yes, has a comedy element, but also has a very serious message behind it
mm,
that was happening. Like, yeah, you had your Fridays, you had, you know, there's that Cedric and Steve Harvey movie that came out around that time. It wasn't that good, but it's fun. But that's how Black people were being depicted. We're just smoking weed,
mm,
trying to get girls.
mm,
Or you had like movies, like oh, what's that movie called?
mm.
The one with Cuba Gooding Jr. and Lawrence Fishburne, and I think Ice Cube was in that too, and he dies in the movie. Why is it not coming to me? That's so
So
bad.
he did have like wait. So pre
We
childhood
had, we
was
had
it?
we had it, but it was
Mm.
always Black people being depicted as gangbangers,
Oh, you mean like
gangsters, druggies,
pre, not like post. Okay, I know what you're saying.
right?
I know what you're saying. Like
With
before. Okay,
Tyler Perry comes into this,
all right.
and again, this is about a woman, a Black woman, being in the forefront
Mm-hmm,
and taking her power back.
mm-hmm, hmm.
We never saw stuff like that before.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. That's right.
just cut this out. Now, do I think that Tyler Perry today um is keeping up with where TV and movies are going? Do I think he's keeping up with that? Mm, no, no, I don't. I do think the people that are now who like were our age, um, when he started coming out, um, they just I don't think they're interested in this anymore. I don't think he's quite keeping up with that. And then when you add the fact now that he might be getting canceled, well, it is what it is.
I don't
Did you
think
hear about that?
I don't think I don't think he's getting canceled.
Yes, you haven't heard about this. Okay.
Oh, the situation,
The
yeah, it,
the
yeah,
let's
the
basically
lawsuit
say
that's
he's being
happening.
Kevin Spacey'd right now. Yeah.
Yeah,
Whether or not Kevin Spacey did it, we don't, I'm not getting into that. But whether or not also Tyler Perry has done any of that, um, I don't know.
I don't know.
I
You
don't
have to
know.
wait. We have to wait and see because there's not a lot that's come out, but it's just
Yeah.
small
Here's
portion.
what I'll say. It is possible because people who have been abused, because he's been sexually abused as a kid, people who have been sexually abused can
Do it,
either,
do it to other people. Yeah.
do good and bounce back from that,
Mm-hmm.
or they become a perpetrator. So we'll never know. I don't know.
Yeah. Uh, uh, yeah. Yeah, people can be repeat offenders of their own.
Yeah,
Uh.
yeah, because that was
Yeah.
control was taken away from them in those moments, like we saw with R. Kelly. You
Yeah.
know, control was taken away from them in those moments, and
Yeah.
that's the only way they know how to get control back. So I don't
You
know.
might be right. You might be right, but yeah,
It's
we'll
sad if
see.
that is
Yeah,
true.
yeah. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's just a rumor. But a lot of our a lot of our black people are getting taken away from us. Like it is crazy. Like Diddy.
I
No, wait.
can't even say
Actually,
being
hold
taken
on.
away from us. I'm gonna have to say it in a different way and say they're
Yeah,
getting their ass handed to them.
yeah.
And
Like
unfortunately, it's really bad within the black community right
yeah.
now. Yeah.
You got what's his name? Cosby. God.
That for me, it's funny
R.
because I was
Kelly.
actually talking about
Oh,
that with my
yeah,
mom last
yeah,
week
yeah,
about Cosby, and it's like
yeah,
I feel weird
yeah,
watching anything having to do with the Cosby Show,
yeah, yeah.
which I haven't watched in a long time, obviously, and
Uh-huh.
it's angering. Like I think I talked about this before too. It's angering that I can't watch a show that I grew up watching. That I probably, besides Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I watched the Cosby Show constantly from start to finish every day. That
Mm-hmm.
was a part of my childhood, and he took it away from me,
Yeah.
and I can't watch it
Mm-hmm.
without feeling so weird.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't
R.
feel that
Kelly.
with
Mm-hmm.
R. Kelly
R.
as much. I don't
R.
feel that with P.
Kelly.
Diddy either.
Diddy.
I'm
Now
just
maybe
mad. I'm just angry.
Tyler Perry. It's
And
like
that
a
for me, it's again
yeah.
like, if this is true,
Mm-hmm.
he too has taken something from me. Because it's like, how do I sit there and watch anything having to do with Medea? Because Medea is one of my favorite characters. Um, Medea is the one that has, as a little girl, has taught me to stand up to myself against men who could potentially hurt me. And thank God I've never countered that. Um, like in that, in well, can't actually say that, but um,
Mm. And also, he has done so much. I have to admit, he has done so much for the Black community. I would
he
say
has,
he's done. So I'm watching. I'm not watching, but like I'm looking at his website. He's done a lot of
he
film,
has
TV shows for the Black
so
community.
much.
Yeah.
And the thing too, like talking about like that Oprah Winfrey documentary, sorry, episode that came out when the show was still on.
Mhm.
Um, they mentioned it too for anyone who watched the Menendez brothers documentary on Netflix. They mentioned that episode. He was responsible for that episode. He was there because he too was a man. Because again, that for just so you have context, it was an episode of basically of men saying, I've been sexually abused. And there's one scene in that where they were all holding pictures of themselves at the age that they were being sexually abused. Tyler Perry was directly involved in that. Like,
Mhm.
that's another thing as well. So that's why also like I can't wrap my mind around the good this man has done, and then they're gonna go and do that. Like, I don't know.
He's done one, two, three, four, five series. Well, actually, one series, and then three films for Netflix, I believe.
Yeah,
And then a
yeah.
few for BET, and then a few for
hmm
Amazon.
There was
So
one show that I watched on, I think it came on BT or maybe it also came on another one, but
yeah.
shoot, what was the name of that? It was I can't remember the name of the show now. But oh, the Perrys or the I can't remember what it was now. But anyways, it it was a really fun show. It was a 30-minute show. It was a sitcom. It was a really good show. It's
Mhm.
done now, but like
Yeah.
it's again like shows like that has introduced um characters in his world that are so loved.
Hmm.
Um so yeah, it's I'm hoping that it's not true,
Yeah.
but at the same time, this isn't the first time that there's been rumors about not only this, but his sexuality.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
Heard a
because
lot
he
of
was
it.
married to a woman before. They are now divorced,
Hmm.
um, the last few years now. And there was a lot of rumors about his sexuality after that, which I don't care if he is gay.
Yeah.
I don't care. But
Yeah.
just live your authentic self then. That
Hmm.
doesn't then give you the right to, abuse someone because you think you can. And that's what happened with Kevin Spacey. And look at him. I mean, Kevin Spacey was like Kevin Spacey.
Hmm.
And he's broke. He's lost his house,
Mhm.
like, um, yeah,
Yeah, it'll be sad if it's true. So,
it will be.
yeah. Okay, so the next show, and it's coming within next week, is Squid Game season 3. Can't wait.
Yeah, I
Solid,
was gonna
so
mention that's gonna be in our,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I can't wait till that comes
good
because
for you.
like, because
You
I'm a
watch
fan.
Squid Games,
Yeah.
I'll be watching Ultimatum
S-
Queer Love. There's
Oh, jeez.
differences between us. Listen,
Yeah.
the Ultimatum Queer Love, perfection. So good.
Mm.
Anyways,
They're all the same. Bachelorette, they're all the
no,
same.
you don't even
They're
understand.
all the
The
same.
Ultimatum Queer Love, which again, you've named shows that are all heteronormative shows. Ultimatum Queer Love is women who are either lesbian, queer, bi,
Mhm.
or just whatever, that are all there, testing their relationships.
Oh,
Some people
that's
have sex and it's amazing.
no,
I want the
that's new.
people, I want the people who are not supposed to have sex with each other to have sex with each other because it creates
No,
drama, and this is what I'm here for.
it sounds like a mixture of Survivor with Bachelorette, but for the
No, 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 no.
LGBT community.
The Survivor's not even mixed in there. Survivor's not even mixed in there at all. Um, but it's personally, it's just top tier
Mhm.
Netflix reality shows. Seriously, it's just so
Uh,
good.
mm, yeah. Have you seen Pop the Balloon yet?
No, I wasn't interested in watching that. I'm good.
uh,
I have other shows I still need to watch. So,
yeah, yeah. Oh, well, that's the two shows now. Most likely going to be watching. Um,
okay.
or so like yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
much it. Uh, I know you kind of like banter on, apologize to the people.
No, no,
Kind of
that's
what
okay. We're doing
what's
what
that?
we're doing what we do. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
but we'll kind of talk about the shows that are going to be coming up. I will say kind
Hmm.
of just like not necessarily honorable mentions, but just since we're in the world of talking about shows and whatever else that we've watched. I did mention Golden Girls season 4. I don't know what episode I'm on right now, but I'm
Hmm.
pretty deep into the season. I'm telling you, the show is incredible.
Mm.
This is like a thing, duh, but this show is amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was literally talking to my mom about it. I'm like, I'm watching Golden Girls, and she's like, I swear you've seen Golden Girls before. I'm like, no,
Or
seeing
not.
as the show
Or
ended when I was 2.
you seeing you're probably seeing clips and
Oh yeah,
episodes,
definitely seen clips. Like I
but
know
like
like
not like you
certain,
didn't see it
yeah.
straight. Like
Rose
yeah.
condoms, Rose condoms. Like yeah, obviously like I know bits and pieces, but it's just like
Mm-hmm.
I haven't watched the show from beginning
Hmm.
to end,
Yeah.
and that's obviously
Season
what I'm
2.
doing.
Mm-hmm.
I've taken a break from Dexter, y'all, so I haven't finished that. So maybe
Mm-hmm.
once I finish the Golden Girls, and I'll get back to Dexter. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that's kind of that's what I'm watching. This other show, this actually a TLC show, which
Mm-hmm.
is insanity. It's called Virgins. 4 virgins that have, hence the name, have not had sex. It's it's insane. Like, there's one woman
Mm-hmm.
who doesn't use tampons because it hurts to insert anything. Poor thing. She's like, I don't know if I can have
Mm-hmm.
sex. There's another one. This is a good one. She's been
Mm-hmm.
married before, but she's never had sex. You want to know
This
more
isn't
about
that.
that? Watch the episode.
Is that another show?
Yeah, yeah, it's a reality show, but it's on TLC. But it's
Reality show.
it's that one with the one who said I'm a married virgin or formerly married virgin. I'm like, how does that work? But
Mm,
and then I did watch a movie recently that um I hadn't watched. It came out last year, but It Ends With Us with Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, which if we know that there's a lot of going on that end
mhm,
after the fact. But just the movie itself,
mhm.
it was a really good movie. It was really good. Um, Sad that it got ruined by people suing each other, but it is what it is. But it's really good.
Hmm,
Highly recommend that too if you haven't watched it. Um, okay, so
hmm,
let's just quickly go through what's coming.
mhm,
You've mentioned Squid Games already. That's coming on
mhm,
Friday.
mhm,
Um,
mhm.
Trainwreck is coming out with a new one. Which again, we did not talk about the Rob Ford documentary. I will be watching that. We'll talk about it next month. But the Trainwreck one, this
Oh
one's
yeah,
is
that's yeah.
apparently Doug Ford is unhappy.
Of course,
Of course
yeah,
he is.
yeah.
But
Did no? Wait, well, hold on. When they make these type of documentaries, did they get consent from the family?
not
I'm guessing
always.
no,
Not
no,
always.
no. Yeah.
But or if they
Do they?
do, like they really only need to have consent from his next of kin, which would have been his wife. Um,
Uh,
Wife or his kids or whatever. Like
I
those are
don't
the
think it's
people.
kids. I don't think it's kids.
Well, no, because his wife is still alive.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be, I mean, his kids are older, but um, the next of kin would, in this case, would have been his wife because she's still alive. If she had died since his death, then it would have gone to his oldest kid.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the people who really have to consent to anything like this. Duck Ford doesn't consent to this because he's not next of kin.
Mm-hmm.
He would have been, if he was unmarried, but he was married, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Because like, I wonder how would that work? Like, how would mm,
But again, it's not always necessary,
mm,
especially with the content that they're talking about.
mm,
They don't need his family. It's all out there already,
mm.
you know?
That's
So
true. He's a public figure. Yeah, yeah.
he is a public figure, but he was also a
I mean,
controversial public
yeah,
figure at the
yeah,
time,
yeah.
which is what they're referring to in the
I'm
documentary.
guessing they. I guessing they went over his like his.
I don't know if they did. They may
Uh,
not have, but I'm just saying it's not always necessary.
mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm,
anyway, so the new train wreck documentary that's coming out is Poop Cruise. You heard me right.
Who?
Whichever Poop Cruise.
I never heard of him.
Well, we're about to talk about it. So, an engine fire leaves 4,000 passengers stranded at sea without power and plumbing in this wild documentary about the infamous poop cruise of 2013. I vaguely remember this. I vaguely remember this. It's going to be so
Mm,
good. Um, Next one. This one's called Wall to Wall. It's coming on July 18th.
mm-hmm,
A man who poured his life savings into a new apartment discovers its walls are full of disturbing noises, hostile neighbors, and unsettling secrets. I think that's a
mm,
movie. Um, Trainwreck is busy. They have another documentary coming out on July 1st. This
mm-hmm,
one is The Cult of American Apparel. So,
mm,
interesting. Featuring tell-all interviews with insiders and former staff, this expose traces American Apparel's journey from fashion phenomenon to financial flop. Attack on London, hunting the 7/7 bombers. This one's coming on July 1st. Insider recounts and never seen before footage tell the story of the 7/7 bombings on London's transport network in 2005 and its explosive aftermath. There is another one. I don't know if I'm saying this right, but Ferdoz full volume, I think it is. This was coming on July 18th. And I think this is a comedy um sketch, so that's what's coming. Untamed, it's a limited series starting on July 17th. In the vast expanse of Yosemite National Park. A woman's death draws a federal agent into lawless terrain where nature obeys no rules of its own. Shark Whisperer. Think
Mm,
that's about sums that up, but this one's coming on June 30th, so
mhm.
next Monday. Marine conserv conservationist, whoa, and social media activist Ocean Ramsey fearlessly swims with sharks in this documentary deep dive into her mission to protect them.
Right.
1923, which I think is a movie, um, with Harrison Ford. So
Mm,
that's coming to Netflix on July 9th.
right.
Oh boy. We just talked about the controversy, but that doesn't change this movie, which I'm going to remind myself of. Tyler Perry's Medea's Destination Wedding, which I think I did talk about earlier in the year was coming. It's here.
More armadillos?
Yeah, he's bringing Medea back.
Jeez.
Yeah. Shush.
Is it a new one, or is it
It's a new one.
basically?
It's a new one. Yeah, because he had announced
I thought he's
earlier
retired.
in the year that Medea was coming back and he was doing another movie with Medea.
Yeah.
So he announced it, I think in January.
Mm.
Listen, listen, don't take
I
this from
prefer
me.
his real
Don't,
real. I prefer his
don't, don't,
voice.
shut up, shut up.
I prefer his other
We
voice.
love Medea. We are a Medea Stan podcast.
Uh,
Shush. Um,
mm,
so Medea packs her best floral dresses and a whole lot of chaos.
mm,
Okay, so when the Simmons family heads to the Bahamas for her grandniece's whirlwind wedding, Trainwreck is at it again with another documentary called The Real Project X. It's coming July 8th. A night of drunken chaos rocks a quiet Dutch town in this shocking documentary about a teen's birthday invite that accidentally went viral on Facebook. Um, I talked about this already, but I'll talk about it again. The Ultimatum Queer Love new episodes start today as this comes out. And if you want to hear coverage on that, you can go over to my other podcast, Reality Tea Times 2, where
mm,
I'll be covering this. Um, so I won't go into it. I already talked about it, so I won't do the breakdown. Um, Another documentary called, or not documentary, I think a show called I'm Your Venus. I'm your fire. The two very different families of Paris's burning star Venus extravaganza unite to honor her and reopen her unsolved murder case in this documentary. Interesting. Okay. The Old Guard 2. So I guess this is a second movie. I don't know what this
mm,
is. It starts on July or comes on July 2nd. Andy and her team of immortal warriors fight with renewed purpose as they face a powerful new foe threatening their mission to protect humanity. Cobweb, which sounds like it might be a horror. This is on July 1st. Terrified by the eerie noises inside his bedroom walls, an isolated young boy suspects that his parents are concealing an unspeakable secret. Superstar, which comes on July 18th. Set deep in the chaos of the early 2000s, this series reimagines the life of pop icon Tamara and her metamorphosis into Urena as never seen before. Wow. Oh, I heard about this one. Another train wreck documentary. This one's about Balloon Boy, which, again, true crime world. You might know about this. It's on July 15th. A homemade flying saucer lifts off and a 6-year-old boy might be inside. National panic ensues. What truly happened? This documentary investigates that.
mhm.
There is Brick coming on July 10th. When a mysterious brick wall encloses their apartment building overnight, Tim and Olivia must unite with their wary neighbors to get out alive. Infinite, which I'm not sure if this is an actual movie. So I'm not sure. But anyways, it's coming on June 29th, so on Sunday. Overwhelmed by visions of past lives, a man joins a team of fellow reincarnated warriors to battle an enemy hell-bent on ending humanity. There's one called Too Much, coming on July 10th. I will just break that one down. This is definitely a movie that's coming on Netflix. This is If. That's a Ryan Reynolds movie that looked really weird. It's coming on July 9th.
What's it
Um,
called?
if
If?
if you want, I'll say what it's about. After moving in with her grandma, a young girl discovers that imaginary friends are real and must pair them with kids before they're forgotten. And
Huh.
it's Ryan Reynolds on one. So
Interesting.
building the band, which sounds a lot like making the band. This is
Mm. Is that not a
uh
reality show? Just
I
about
I think it's
Diddy?
kind of like more like no, I think it's like a making the band, but except they've renamed it and
Yeah. Oh, good.
yeah, I think it's similar to kind of that feel. Um so it's coming on July 9th in this innovative reality series, gifted singers vie for a chance to form the next great music group sight unseen, leaving looks out of the equation. This is kind of like making the band meets Love is Blind. This is like, I might watch this. Empire Records
Hmm.
coming. Actually, this already came out on Monday. So, facing a corporate takeover, a music store's employees rally to raise funds, confront personal issues, and strengthen their bonds in just one day. Another shark one. Is a Shark Week coming up or something? This is a lot of sharks. Um, all the sharks find the sharks, win the cash. I don't know if it's actual sharks. Oh, I know it is, maybe. Okay. It's coming on
Uh-huh.
July 4th. Um, Almost Cops is coming on July 11th when an overeager community officer and a reckless ex-detective are forced to team up. Plenty of chaos ensues on the streets of Rotterdam.
Hmm.
Um, okay, so yeah, that's basically it because now we're into the what stuff that's already here.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's kind of what's coming
That's
um
it.
in July. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. All right. I
So yeah,
guess
we'll be back next
this,
month with
yeah, it was a new episode of
mhm.
our Netflix series. So, stay tuned for that. I think we're probably going to be doing like from a little bit of end of July, going towards August.
Yeah,
Uh,
we aim to get them out the last Wednesday
yeah,
of
yeah,
every
yeah,
month.
yeah, 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 yeah. So, um, well, like for the upcoming shows and upcoming, you know,
We'll be probably talking more end of June into July.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
August will be August.
Oh no, no, like the upcoming stuff, like that's coming. Like most likely, it's gonna
Oh, the upcoming
be going.
stuff?
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
all in
That's what I was
July.
talking about.
That's all in
The,
July. We don't have anything for August yet.
no, 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 no. Like towards the end, like when you know when we,
Oh, are you saying we'll talk about what's
yeah,
coming in August?
upcoming
In
was
July.
coming. Yeah, from
Right.
towards
Yeah,
the end of
which
July,
we
going into yeah, yeah.
yes, which
That's
we
what's
always do. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what's gonna happen. But yeah, okay. Um. So this ends this episode of the Next Tape podcast. And Next Tape podcast is available on all podcast platforms. We also have a website called Tanika,
Next take podcast.podpage.io.
and where else are we at?
Facebook and Instagram and Next Take Podcast and Twitter, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Next Take Pod.
You can contact us on our email at mikeltanika@gmail.com. That's mikeltanika@gmail.com. So we just talked about our, you know, basically, Tanika gave her review on what she watched on Netflix in June. And I just told you what I'm going to be watching. So I haven't watched anything yet in June. So like um yeah, that's pretty much it. for this episode. Anything you want to say, Tanika, or because I have
Mm,
nothing else to say.
no, I think that's it for me.
All right, all right. So I am Mikel, and
And I'm Tanika.
we're out until
Tomorrow.
tomorrow. Peace, guys.
Bye.